All right, I think we are good to begin. Hello everybody. Welcome to the dance information session. My name is Jessica Hagman. I'm one of the interns with the School of Performance, and I use she, her pronouns. Today we're going to be talking with Louis Laberge-Cote, who's a member of the dance faculty. You're encouraged and welcome to turn on your video, and we do also ask you to keep your mic muted. There will be time for questions at the end. Throughout, if you have any questions, you're welcome to type them in the chat. You can either send them to me privately or type them so everybody can see them. If you send them to me privately, I'll ask them on your behalf at the end during the question period. And if you want to speak during the question period, just pop a message to me in the chat and I will call on you and you can ask your question. And with no further ado, Louis, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. So yes, I'm Louis Laberge-Cote. I'm a relatively new full-time faculty. This is the beginning of my third year. Vicky Saint-Denis is the director of the dance program, and she's teaching right now, so she can join us today. So I'll do my best to answer all of your questions. Obviously, I know quite a bit about the dance program itself. That said, I'm not an encyclopedia like Vicky, who has been here for 28 years, so she knows everything. So if I can answer anything right away, I'll make sure the information is transferred to you, or I'll guide you towards the right person to answer everything. So I thought that for today, I would talk about a little bit about the umbrella course that we call it, which is like the main course for the dance program, covering a little bit what your required courses are, and then talking about the audition process a little bit. As I said, the dance program is very focused on in-studio technical dance training. And the three main disciplines that you study throughout the 4 years are ballet, modern, and jazz. So no matter what, you're going to train in those three disciplines for 4 years. And starting in second year, we add contemporary to the mix. So you have 4 disciplines by the end. Another component of the umbrella course is improvisation composition, which is a small course. Actually, it's only 1 hour a week, but it's continuous throughout the 4 years. And as you go into the senior years, the improvisation composition is replaced by contact improv and partnering. I forgot to say, actually, the balance of ballet, jazz, and modern and contemporary changes depending of your year and where you are in the program. But you always get at least 2 classes of jazz, 2 classes of modern. Sometimes you get more ballet and 1 class of contemporary. But again, like the balance changes depending on your semester. For the first 2 years of the program, you have mostly a core group of faculty that you work with throughout the first 4 semesters. So this core group of faculty includes the 3 full-time faculty members. So there's me, who teaches mostly modern and contemporary, Vicky Saint-Denis, director, who teaches mostly jazz, and Tanya Evidente, who teaches mostly ballet. So you'll see a lot of us for the first 2 years. There's also Lourdes Hernandez, who teaches ballet, who is a part-time faculty, and she also teaches Pilates. Like you'll see like this small core group a lot during the first 2 years. So you have a sense of continuity, kind of like in-depth sense of progression. People who really know you well. And for the last 2 years of the program, even though you will still see some of the full-time faculty here and there, suddenly your bank of teachers really broadens a lot. So you get exposed to a broader range of styles, approaches, priorities. And that's also the moment where you start working more with guest choreographers. So after 2 years of like focused work, suddenly it really kind of like spreads out during the last 2 years. when I say contemporary, actually, it's quite a broad term. So some classes will be like typical Western-based contemporary dance, but there's also contemporary street styles. So like more like funk, break, like hip hop, like those kind of styles. But also we have a teacher here who teaches contemporary Afro-Cuban. So again, like a lot of influences within the mix. Just one fun note this year, because of obviously our format changed completely, our schedule changed completely because of COVID. So we added West African to the mix of the courses we've been offering, and we're trying to find a way to make it part of the regular curriculum. So hopefully next year it'll be something that will be part of the official curriculum for now on. Other than that, yeah, I'll talk about the dance productions. So as I said, performance opportunities begin during your second semester of second year. So there's this show called En Choreo, which is a mixture of student choreography and professional choreography. So the first act is usually between 12 and 14 pieces that are choreographed by students. So there's an audition process with a panel, and then we pick some pieces. Then you have a rehearsal process with mentorship, and you're guided, and your piece is staged, and then this is performed as part of a show. And the second act is two longer pieces with two different guest choreographers. So we split the class in two. Everybody is in one of those pieces. So you get like a balance of both student choreography and guest choreographer. Third year and fourth year students in the fall are part of a show called Ryerson Dances, which is a big production for us. It is usually, the format is 4 different works choreographed by guest choreographers. Students can be in 1 or 2 pieces. And usually it's a balance of big group works, smaller group works. We try to switch the styles, some stuff that's more contemporary classical, some stuff that could be more street style, some stuff that are more traditional modern repertoire. So again, quite a wide range of possibilities there. And in the spring, there's also this show called Choreographic Works, which the whole show is all student choreography. So the third and fourth year students go through an audition process. Everybody wants to choreograph a piece, present their work as part of the audition. And we pick somewhere like, I think it's 45 pieces that are kind of split between 2 different programs, and we have 2 different versions of the show. So it's a lot of pieces over 2 shows. It's a lot of dancing for some students and a lot of choreography for some students as well. And then the fourth year students later in the spring also have their own show called Spring Works, which is a mixture of student choreography. So we pick 3 pieces that get to be developed more deeply, longer works choreographed by 3 students. And then the second act, most of the time, is 2 different guest choreographers who have a more intense process, creating longer works that are usually quite challenging. And that's how the program ends for 4th year students. So your last semester, you're actually performing in 2 different shows. Any questions about this so far? I'm more of a visual person, so I know it's kind of hard for me sometimes to piece the things together if I just hear it, but we're good for now.
There's nothing in the chat so far.
Okay. I'll talk about the other courses that are part of the dance program that are not necessarily part of the umbrella course. So required courses are, you have this course called Creative Performance Studies, which is actually a course that you'll have every semester over the 4 years. So when you are in first and second year, we actually combined that course with the actors. So for 2 years, the dancers work with the actors, and you have two different teachers for that course, somebody who is focused on acting and somebody who comes with a dance background. And that course focuses on the process of creation. So throughout the 4 years, you'll be asked to create works, experiment with ideas, talk about your conceptual ideas, present in front of the other students, receive and give feedback. So that's kind of an ongoing thing that doesn't stop during the 4 years. You'll always be involved creatively in a way or another through that course. And then when you are in third and fourth year, we separate the dancers with the actors. So for 2 years, the dancers really focus on choreography, going deeper into the practice of movement for trained dancers. There's also a music course for the first and second years. Music for the first years is focused on more the theory of it, and in second year is focused mostly on voice work and singing. Anatomy is also a required course for the first years, and you learn obviously about skeleton, muscle function, all of that. It also comes back in second year as an optional course. Of course, a lot of the students end up taking it, and during the second year course, you cover more things like warming up, self-care and things like that that are useful. Elements of production is also a course that dancers take over the program. You have courses on performance history. You have a film course focused on dance, landmarks of choreographic development in second year, which is also a history, conceiving the production. Independent studies seminar, which is a course for the fourth year where you develop your own project. You also have professional preparation, which is a course where you talk about grant applications, applying for residencies, presenters, networks, festivals. So like kind of like very practical tools for you to have more of a kind of a business-oriented approach to your career. And throughout all of that, you have also liberal studies courses. So you have a long list of options, courses that have to do with like languages, science, like a really, really, really broad range of courses. The only thing that you have to be aware, though, is that the dance schedule is quite specific and quite precise and quite blocked and limited. So liberal studies courses, I'm sure you will be reminded when it comes to that, but they have to fall within very specific bands in order not to create conflicts with your dance courses. So I'm saying that now, you will be reminded of that information later. I think you have access to all the courses that are available to you. If you go on the website, you can click and you see like the long list of courses. Now, the audition process. The deadline to send the final package is February 1st, 2021 for next year. But that is the ultimate deadline. Of course, the sooner you send your package, the better. So I would really recommend to aim for before that date. It's easier for us. It gives us more time. So as you know, you need to send a photo, a headshot, a resume that, of course, focuses on your dance experience. So where you trained, what styles you train in, who are your teachers, any kind of performance experience you have, dancing, or if you have acting and singing or music experience as well, make sure that it's all included in there. And 2 letters of recommendations, usually teachers or choreographers with whom you've worked with are good choices. People can really talk about not only your talent, but also your ability to work with other people, your ability to collaborate and, you know, be a good person to have in the studio. So good. Now, the video itself. We have different components. We kind of changed, obviously, what the requirements were, because this year, clearly, we won't have in-person auditions. So you have to send everything online. We understand that not everybody has the same access to space. So, of course, we are flexible. But ideally, there would be a component of your audition video that would be a ballet section. So a bar. It's good for us to see a plié exercise, a tendu exercise, something with like glissé and dégagé, a frappé, a développé, and a grand battement. I think you can only do once, like you can only show one side for plié, tendu, glissé, but there's some exercise like the développé and the grand battement. We want to see both sides, so we get to see your range. There's also one page on the website where you can find the breakdown of all of that. And then after you've done your ballet bar, it's good for us to see some center work that is ballet focused. So a classical adage, obviously with some développés. It's good to see some pirouettes and then do a petit allegro, so small jumps, and then a sequence that has higher jumps, a grand allegro. And then it's good for us to also see a ballet-based moving phrase. So whatever you want to show, just to see us take the space moving within the ballet vocabulary. Then after the ballet section, it's good for us to see either modern or contemporary or jazz style sequences. This year, we broke it down into 3 short phrases. The first one is mostly for us to see you move your torso in a non-classical way. So it's good for us to see like your front curve, your side curve, your high lift, your spirals, just to see what kind of articulation you have in the upper body. Then a second phrase that focuses on floor work. So anything that shows how comfortable you are being on the floor, showing your flexibility in different angles, and showing like how you can roll and get up from the floor and fall back down organically and gracefully. And then another phrase that is focused more on musicality. So anything that has very clear rhythm, playing with qualities, playing with speed, just so that we can see what kind of sense of musicality you have. So this is kind of like the modern, contemporary, or jazz portion of the video. And then it's good for us after that to see 2 more solos that are more choreographed, so less technical focus, but more just to see you move and interpret and see your performance skills. And ideally, those 2 solos would be in 2 different styles. So if you have one solo that is, let's say, like very dramatic and emotional, then you could have another solo that is more musical and energetic kind of thing. So again, like you decide what works best for you, but try to show a range in what you can do in those 2 solos. Also, you can include, if you have any other dance skills, like for example, if you are a tap dancer, or if you are a flamenco dancer, or bharatanatyam, or whatever it is that you're good at, it's good for us to see also that range. So feel free to include whatever other styles you know. That's it for now. I'm trying to speak quickly because there's a lot to cover. I'll stop here and I'll just take questions if there are any.
Thank you so much, Louis. So a reminder, if you want to type your questions into the chat, feel free to. If you want to just privately message myself, I will read them aloud. And we'll give you a moment to type. All right, Louis, so our first questions. What future job opportunities are available, and what have alumni done after studying at Ryerson?
Well, because our program is actually quite broad in terms of the disciplines and the styles that we cover, actually our alumni have gone into very different directions. We have some alumni that have been dancing with professional companies. like contemporary ballet-based companies. We have some of our alumni that went for more modern dance companies. A lot of our alumni go into a more freelance career, starting their own projects, collaborating with each other. Some of our alumni went into more commercially focused, like things like cruise ships or resorts. What else? A lot of our alumni also switched to a more teaching, pedagogical career, becoming dance teachers. So there's quite a broad range of what can happen that is dance focused. But there's also people who, after graduating from the dance program, realize that they're very interested in kind of health sciences, like going into things like physiotherapy. So it opens a lot of different possibilities, I would say. Of course, the dance world is a world that is competitive. It's like so many other fields. Like, it's not easy to get into, but that said, our graduates do well within the dance field, or moving on to whatever they want to do next. I hope that answers clearly enough.
Great. There was one more question in the chat about, can you do a minor in this program? Carly from our admissions team answered that yes, you can. But Louis, do you want to talk about how people in the dance program, is it difficult to take a minor while in a dance program? Is it, you know what I mean?
Yes, it is possible. It is possible. That said, yes, it is challenging. In order to get through the demands of the dance program and do a minor at the same time, you have to be very good at time management. Like, you have to be like very disciplined and organize your schedule and your activities with a lot of focus, and like keep at it. And also, you have to be very good with the academic side of things. That said, like, some people have done it, but I know that it's quite challenging. Like, people don't find it easy, but it's been done, so it's possible.
Great. One more question specific up to the audition videos. For the ballet exercises for the audition, will they have an outline or exercises to follow, or do they have free range on that?
You have free range on that, as long as we see the main ideas. So, of course, if you do a plie, like, it's good to see a few demi-pliés with different port de bras in first, in second, in fifth. You can do fourth as well if you want. It's good to see grand pliés in each of those positions. It's good to see like the usual stretches that go in a plie exercise. That said, you can organize all of that the way you want. You can do exercises that you already knew before, but make sure that you kind of cover the basis of what those exercises usually contain. And keep an eye that we're going to look for your flexibility, your strength, so you want to make sure that we see that.
Great. Next question. Do you have to have immense training, 5+ years, to be accepted into the program?
It all depends. It's not a black and white kind of. Of course, it is a competitive program. It's not necessarily easy to get into. Of course, the more training you have, the better. But we also consider potential, and we consider physical potential. We consider artistic potential. We understand that some people are not necessarily amazing technicians, but they're very good natural movers. Some other people are really great performers. Some other people have great creative impulses. So we acknowledge all of that in our decisions. And also, like it doesn't necessarily mean that training equates like classical type training. So we accept people that don't necessarily have a lot of ballet training, for example, if they move very well and they have good jazz training. Yeah, so that's one of the options. So yes, for sure, training helps, and it is competitive. It's not easy to get in the program, but we don't have like one one idea of what a good student is. We look at all the possibilities, and we like actually to have a diversity in the class, to have different people who are good at different things. So it is possible to get in without necessarily an insane amount of technical training, but of course that means you also have to have strong skills somewhere else.
Great. Kind of a two-part question. What styles does the program train dancers in? And do they have to be trained on point to be accepted?
No, point work is not mandatory at all. It is actually, we don't really offer point classes. It is possible, some teachers allow point work, like if you want to do point work. I think that's maybe more a question for the students. I think sometimes like it is possible to do point work if you want at the bar in ballet, but we don't have that as a prerequisite or a mandatory practice at all. What was the first part? The styles?
Yeah, what styles do they get trained in?
So the main branches are ballet, jazz, modern, contemporary. But again, like there's different sub-branch of that. Like for example, I'm one of the modern teacher, and during first and second year, the two modern styles that I focus on are Graham technique and Limon technique. So I kind of mix both for the first 2 years. And then when you have me later in third and fourth year, it's mostly as a contemporary teacher. And my influences as contemporary teacher are counter technique, access syllabus, and Gaga are my three main things. That said, every teacher has a different mixture of influences. Like I'm thinking right now about Arsenio, who's one of the modern or contemporary teacher. He mixes Afro-Cuban. He also has some experience with Cunningham. He has some experience with Horton as well. So these are like he doesn't teach a Horton class per se, but there is an influence in there. We have a teacher, Robert Glombeck, who teaches both ballet and modern. So his classes are quite different, but there's for sure like a classical influence even when he teaches modern. So the simple answer is ballet, jazz, modern, contemporary, but the sub-branch are actually quite broad. Like we're not a Graham school or a Limon school. Like you'll be introduced to a long list of different styles.
Fabulous. Taking it back to the audition video, for the audition video, is it a single video or can each section be separate video submissions?
You organize that the way you want, as long as it's easy for us to watch. I mean, most people have a bit of an introduction, like, hi, my name is this, I live in this place, I want to apply to this program because blah, blah, blah. And then obviously there's a cut. Then we see them, they're at the bar, they do their plie exercise, there's a cut, and then reset. We see them do their tendu, and they kind of go like that, like chunk by chunk. But that said, you can organize that whatever way works for you. But of course, you want to be as efficient as possible for us when we watch, because we'll have a lot of videos to watch. So you try to get rid of all of the in-between moments when we don't see you dance. So I would say just keep that in mind as you organize your information.
Awesome. All right. Is there a lot of focus on choreography and the creative process, or is the program mostly training focused?
Well, the core of the program is training focused, but you will have improvisation, composition every week, and creative performance studies every week. And that's a constant throughout the 4 years. So there is always an element of creative work in the studio. But also, like starting in second year, students who are interested in choreography have the opportunity to start a creative process and show their work on stage. There is an audition process, like I explained. Not everybody get in the show, but throughout the program, if you are interested in choreography, for sure, there are some opportunities for you to explore, to create something, and very possibly to have your work performed on stage at some point.
And that is a perfect segue into our final question. What are the schedules like for performances? Do rehearsals happen outside of the course time, and when do performances take place?
Yes. So usually classes, like all of the classes, the dance classes and the required courses and the liberal studies courses happen during the day. And overall, you have, if you are involved in a show that semester, your rehearsals happen after that. So usually it's evening rehearsals. Some days are a little bit like the way the schedule works. Some rehearsals can start in the afternoon. So that just means like a longer block available for rehearsal. But when you are in third and fourth year and you are involved in a show, you can potentially be in the studio for a very long time, like from morning and then go take another like academic course, and then you come back and then you're in the studio like until 7:30. So they can be long days. Performances happen at usual performance time, most of the time 8 p.m. on weeknights and on Saturdays. So again, like these weeks are pretty intense because you still get your classes during the day during performance weeks. Was there another section to that question? Did I answer everything?
Nope, that's it. Great. All right, thank you so much, Louis. I know there's a couple more questions in the chat, but we are going to move on to our current students. We have two current students here, Jasmine and Maria, if you want to turn on your videos. We may actually get to some of the questions that were already asked with you two, but if you want to take it away.
Hi, Louis.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jasmine Au. I'm a fourth year dance student right now. I'm from Markham, and I know there was a question about a minor earlier, so I also want to share that I have successfully finished my minor in marketing as well. If you guys are interested in that, you can ask more questions about that later. And Maria.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria. I'm also a fourth year student in the program. And yeah, Jasmine, you can get started with like the more in-depth things, but I can also talk about working alongside doing school, because I have worked all my 4 years at Ryerson, and also what I'm potentially like doing after school, like my plans after school. So you guys can also learn a little bit about that.
But yeah, so we'll share a little bit about like 4 years ago when we were in the position of like transitioning from high school to university. I went to a performing arts high school and I trained at a studio, and as I'm sure most of you have too. And one of the biggest reasons why I chose Ryerson's dance program, because I had applied to many different other programs, and Ryerson was actually the only dance program that I applied for. And a big reason why I decided to pursue dance was because, and I know Maria is also kind of similar, is we just felt that we were dancing for so long that we weren't ready to stop dancing all the way. We also felt like we had more to learn, and Ryerson definitely gave us like the training that we really needed also to develop as artists as well. And a bit about our first year experience. I know I was here when Louis was talking about it, but in first year, it's definitely a big transition, because I think like the biggest transition is that you start having to be responsible for yourself and your schedule. So then once you're in first year, you get a lot of the dance classes. It's about 2 classes a day. And I believe ballet is every day. And then you have to balance your dance classes on top of the academic courses you have too. And that's quite a transition, because university scheduling for assignments is pretty different than high school scheduling. But definitely like don't get overwhelmed with academic, because I would say my biggest advice is just not being afraid to ask questions. Everyone comes from different high schools. So if you do find that you're worried about something, don't be hesitant to ask help from your profs, or even ask help from the academic support center, or just like older students, which is something I did a lot in first year as well. And I actually live downtown. Well, not right now because COVID, but I do live downtown on campus. And that was also a really big reason why I chose Ryerson, because I really was attracted to downtown life and like living on my own. So it's like very it's very fun living in downtown. It's definitely different than like a regular university campus. You have like so much around you and everything's like so busy and it's so much fun. And I think I'll leave it at there. We can go on later, but I'll pass it over to Maria about her high school and university experience.
Great. So yeah, I'm from Etobicoke, so kind of close to Toronto, but in that same bubble. And I went to Etobicoke School of the Arts. So it was an arts program focusing in dance and transitioning into university. I think in first year specifically, academically, there were a lot of more academics added on to what I was used to having in high school. But I think advice that I could give you guys is just like taking the deadlines, putting everything, really like writing everything down and just taking one thing at a time, because it can get overwhelming at times. But if you just take one thing as it is, you'll be okay. And I also was working all of my 4 years at Ryerson, so it's definitely manageable. I also, because I'm from Etobicoke, I stayed living at home. So I would commute every day to school. And yeah, you guys can, if you're definitely commuting, like it's possible. I have a lot of friends that are in the program who also commuted from Oakville, from Stouffville, from what else? Markham, Jasmine? Rachel commuted from Markham. So it's definitely possible. And what else can I share with you guys? Yeah, I applied to universities and programs in Canada. So I knew that I wanted to stay in Canada. And why I chose Ryerson was because first you get your BFA, which is, can really open a lot of doors if you finish the 4 years and you think, oh, okay, maybe I want to go into teachers college or I want to go into physiotherapy. Then you have an undergrad to do that. And that was also really important for my family to get an undergrad alongside with my passion, which is dance. So coming out of my 4 years, finishing this spring, I'm really happy that I am finishing with my BFA because I am considering pursuing my master's in dance at York, which you need an undergrad for. So I think, this is a really great option if you want to pursue other things while still getting really great, amazing training in dance and also like really amazing networking in Toronto and like the dance artists that are here in Toronto.
Yeah, if there are any questions, if anyone has from our experience, they can pop up. But if not, we can continue like spitfiring about our experience.
We have a couple of questions that didn't get answered at the end of Louise, but I do think that all three of you could speak to them. The first one is, are there sometimes workshops with guest choreographers, and are they introduced to commercial dancing?
We do get workshops every now and then, I would say. I remember last year we had the Cunningham workshop, which was awesome. And they usually are, if we do have someone coming in, we'll get like a week's notice or something. And they usually happen like during class time, I would say. So like sometimes, like I remember also last year, Vicky, one of her jazz classes was actually with Decidedly Jazz, which was really fun. What was the other part of that question too?
Are they introduced to commercial dancing?
I feel like not so much in first year, because first year is really about like building the foundation. I do know that right now in fourth year with Kate, we are talking about, post-grad life. And one of the options, of course, is commercial, and she has been exploring that with us. Maria, anything to add?
Yeah, and specifically about workshops. At Ryerson, you do have networking for workshops in the winter. Like after you're done your first semester, you have like Kenny Pearl's intensive in the winter, and you'll be like introduced to other workshops that you can take in the summer, just from like posters that are up or teachers talking in class about workshops you should take. So in terms of that, like it's an outside thing you do, but the teachers and the students around you like give you that kind of information that you could do to pursue further training and workshops. And in terms of commercial, I kind of have to agree with Jasmine. I think first year, it really is about going back to the basics in some ways. And if you're coming from a competition background, which I came from, it's kind of about shifting your idea of what dance is and what the professional like dance industry looks like, specifically to concert world dance, so not so much commercial. But I do have friends that are in our year that were leaning more towards the commercial side, and there was always flexibility. You know, after classes, you could go take those commercial classes downtown at Dance Life, at Underground, Millennium when it was open. So there's flexibility within your schedule to do those classes if you're interested in them. So yeah, those are my 2 cents on that.
Awesome, thank you. And then
I'll just add
Yeah,
a little bit, like we don't offer like commercial dance as a course. That said, usually our students our students who are interested in commercial dance do quite well, because even though our approach to jazz is not commercial, a lot of skills acquired in jazz and in street styles directly apply to a lot of commercial styles. Also, there's musical theater as an optional course, but a lot of our students take it as well. And like I said, there's singing also. So even though there's not like commercial dance, there's a lot of skills throughout the program that can really support a commercial career.
Thank you so much, Louis. Another question that is very similar to this one, but slightly different, is while in the program, is there opportunity to network in the dance industry, like outside of workshops at the school?
Oh yeah, there definitely is. I know Maria spoke a bunch about networking, but it's just like living in downtown. Of course, right now with COVID, there aren't many performances happening, like in-person performances, but during the regular year, like we get sent to so many amazing shows, and like you get to see also Ryerson graduates, which is really amazing, but also you definitely get opportunities to like talk to them. And then you will find that in the years of like when you start going to second and third year, at least what I found is like in more of even in the dance and academic classes, teachers begin to bring in like industry professionals, and from there you can network if you want to. Like for me, I am interested in more of an administrative side of dance, and this year I have like really been like using my teachers' connections to start to get to know people, and also just like ask them for a coffee if they want.
Awesome. Someone is curious about the process on how you got your minor, Jasmine.
Yes, I have a minor in marketing. I just finished it last year. And I know like Louis said that earlier, it is possible, but I would say like, I think the biggest thing if you want to pursue a minor is you have to like sit down, look at the requirements for a minor and see how it either crosses over or it conflicts with like the dance required courses as well. So for me, I was able to actually use 3 of my marketing classes as 3 of my dance required credits as well. So that was really great. And it's also just sitting down talking with the academic advisor if you need to. But a minor at Ryerson, I think this goes for any minor you choose, is just 6 required courses. And from there, like what I did was I found out where those courses could cross over with dance, but I also did a lot of my classes in the summer and spring, because I didn't want to put extra work on during the semester, especially when we went into performances. And also it was just a great way to even do my electives in the spring, summer. So then when it did come time for those performances, I could focus more on like extra rehearsals instead. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Jasmine. This next question I think is more towards Louis. Does Ryerson look at self-taught dancers as well?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what we see in terms of your potential, your expressivity, your ability to move well. like for sure, we sometimes consider dancers who don't necessarily have a lot of formal training behind them. That's definitely possible. But again, like it's not like there's a formula. We look at different aspects of what dance can be, and we try, like I said, to have a broad range of different types of dancers in the same class. So for sure, like not everybody comes with a big studio experience behind them, but everybody has to have promise. I hope that answers. Yeah, it's kind of a vague, because again, like it's not like we have a clear rubric and we look for one type. But for sure, people who are more intuitive movers and creative people who create interesting choreography naturally, we consider that for sure.
Great, thank you, Louis. Another question for Jasmine and Maria about what kind of other opportunities are there on campus outside of the program, and what things have you done with Ryerson outside of the program?
Yeah, I can go a little bit. I know Maria's thinking over there. Yeah, I'm definitely somebody who does a lot of like organization admin stuff. So on campus outside of dance, I have been a part of a lot of clubs. One of them that I'm on right now is the Ryerson Communication and Design Society. I'm the director of performance. If you're looking at some of those like clubs or extracurriculars, we do have a student union, which is amazing for the RSP. And they include acting, dancing, and production. So it's great to meet those other like programs too outside of your classes. Maria, do you have anything to add?
I personally, because I was working through all of my 4 years at Ryerson, I didn't really have that extra time to focus in clubs and take more part of the Ryerson community. But I do know that if you're interested in like more of like getting more dance training, like I know in first year, it is possible to be a part of what Ryerson calls the dance pack, which is more of like you're still commercial, like dance competition-y, like dance training, which is also really fun. Like I had a few friends in our year that were part of it in first year. So if you're like looking forward to joining that club, you can join that.
Great. A question about how many dance classes do you have per day as a first year student, but also in general, how many hours do you dance per day typically?
In first year, you have 2 classes a day, and each class is an hour and a half. So, math, that's like 3 hours a day. That's like 3 hours a day. That's for first year mostly, because you kind of have just those dance classes. And I also feel like you do have more academic than second, third, and fourth. Louis. Oh, yes. Oh, Louis, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, it depends, like, if you count rehearsals as, like, dancing. But yeah, like, once you start being in shows, like, rehearsals are at least a couple hours every day, sometimes longer than that. Sometimes you can have, like, a 5-hour block. Like, so there are some long dance days. And if you have also a performance at the end of the day as well. So if you count all of that, like, I mean, it really depends on the semester. It depends if you're performing, depends if you're part of the process. But people end up dancing quite a bit. Like, people don't complain about not dancing enough when they're in the program. That's for sure.
Love it. Another question about what is the studios and classrooms like once we're hopefully back on campus soon?
Well, we are kind of like in the main building at the corner of Yonge Street and Gold Street. And in that building, there's 2 studios that are considered like kind of like the home of the dance program. So there's a studio that is actually a good size studio with high ceiling, mirrors on both sides, like bars, like a typical big dance studio. It doesn't feel cramped at all. There's another one that's a little smaller, more intimate, but also very well set up for dance. But we have other kind of like places that we may spend some time in that are outside our own building. So there's a range. Like right now we're using the lower gym, which is like a huge, immense space. We used it last year as well. We have also this other studio called POTS, which is like an old studio in the whole section of the university. So it's smaller, but it has that feel of like history. You can just feel like a lot of people have worked in this room over a very long time. So yeah, like the rooms, like there's a range. There's a range of size, there's a range of vibes. Sometimes we also work on stage, even if we're not performing. We have rehearsals on stage, we have classes on stage, so you get to see like all that space. So yeah, I would say students experience different types of studios, but of course we always make sure everything is dance friendly and safe all the time.
Love it. We have another question about what makes this dance program different from other dance programs in the country.
I can answer that again, and then maybe Jasmine or Maria can add. I would say for what I know from my experience, there's very few dance programs in Canada that are at the same time university and conservatory style. So very often, if you are focused on training, very often your options are mostly dance schools, like private dance schools, conservatory schools. And if you're more interested in the academic side of it, getting a degree, moving on to more higher learning kind of diplomas, then your choices are universities. Usually that comes with a cost of not having as solid of a technical foundation if you focus on the academics. But the great thing with Ryerson is like, it's both. You get really high level conservatory style dance training. We treat you as if you were aiming for performance dance career. So we train you at very high levels, and yet you also get the academics and you also get the BFA. So in a way, like it opens all the doors for you. You could go for like a performance career, you could go for more academia. It all remains open. As far as I know, there's no other program that functions at such a high level of training while offering a BFA in Canada. The other options in North America are in the States, where obviously the universities are much more expensive. So yeah.
Great, thanks so much, Louis. Perfect. Any other things Jasmine or Marie want to add to that?
I was just going to add on to that by saying that this program specifically is one of the only programs, or Louis, correct me if I'm wrong, that offers like jazz as a part of its like main core like training components, which I think is redonkulous. And also just like because I did come from like that comp background, like my idea of what jazz dance was to what actual jazz dance is so different. So just getting educated on that and really like learning the style is something for me that I really like hold dear. So yeah, that was one of the things that, like sets Ryerson apart from all the other training programs, at least here in Canada. And also just the relationship that we have with the actors and the production students in the Ryerson program as well. And I think that's so amazing because later on when you graduate, like you're gonna be contacting those people you were in classes with, production classes with, and like the actors you were in classes with for like first to third year basically. And yeah, it's a really amazing relationship that you build with other students in other programs at Ryerson.
Amazing. We have one more final question about once they've filled out their applications and gone through that whole process, when are the offers typically sent out for people who are accepted?
I mean, this is a very unusual year, so I don't feel like I can speak about the process because we've actually never been through that process before. So this year, the audition process is completely different. It's the first time that we do absolutely everything online. So I don't know. I can't really, I don't have a clear answer for that. Also, usually we have a grading, like there are some applications that we accept almost right away. There's some applications that go into the waitlist pile. So depending on where your application ends up falling into, you may have to wait longer. So I'm sorry, I don't have a clear answer for that one. It's going to be a first. We'll see.
No worries. Thank you, Louis. All right. Last call if anybody has any questions that they want to type into the chat, but I am all out. I'll just give you a moment if you want to type anything. As we all do the Zoom Bob. All right. It looks like we don't have any other questions. So thank you so much to Louis, Jasmine, and Maria for telling us a little bit about the dance program. All right. For everybody who is here for the open house, we are going to send you on a quick break now. And when you come back, you're going to want to rejoin that initial Zoom link that takes you back to that main room that we started. Other Jessica just posted it in the chat there. And then we will be rejoining right at 2:35. So in about 9 minutes. Great. Thank you so much, everybody.